Schools nationwide close as COVID spreads among children. The new San Diego State study aimed at stopping the spread in students.
The former chief medical officer for the county of San Diego is suing the county the discrimination he's alleging.
And a local nonprofit steps up to honor the names of sailors killed in that horrific helicopter crash off San Diego's coast. The effort to uplift and support the sailors' families while keeping their memories alive.
ABC 10 News at 6 starts now.
Weeks into the fall semester, schools across the country are being forced to close as the Delta variant surges and more children become infected with coronavirus. Good evening. I'm Kimberly Hunt.
And I'm Steve Atkinson. Our ABC 10 News reporter Nia Watson shows us how a new study at San Diego State aims to help prevent the virus from spreading among our students.
252,000. That's the number of cases in children the American Academy of Pediatrics reported this past week, the largest amount in a week since the pandemic began.
We know this virus is spread through the air, and we know that schools and municipalities and states can do things to protect kids and send them back to school and keep them in school.
Corinne McDaniels-Davison is the director of SDSU's Institute of Public Health. She says the new study is about preventing the spread of COVID-19 in middle schools.
There are still some middle school students who aren't eligible, and a lot of middle school students haven't gotten the vaccine, even if they're eligible. And so the idea was to figure out what we need to do to put layers of protection around middle schools to keep them safe.
McDaniels-Davison says the study looks at which COVID-19 tests are more accessible to families in underserved communities, at-home testing or on-site at the schools. She says they'll start with 2 middle schools, a part of the Sweetwater Union High School District, then expand the preferred testing to all 11 middle school students and staff.
I have a sneaking suspicion that the at-home tests will be preferable, but I'm also trying to go into this, completely blind and agnostic about what the results will be, because we want the community to lead us.
McDaniels-Davison says the program is a continuation of their focus on Latinx communities hit hard by the pandemic.
And so it was critical that we bring these kinds of tests for free to people who have the least access to them, but who have the most exposure and who need them the most, arguably.
Nia Watson, ABC 10 News.
Rady Children's Hospital says it is closely monitoring new cases here in the county. The hospital does say, though, infections in children have declined over the past 2 weeks. On average, 5 to 6 children are hospitalized with COVID-19. And here are our latest numbers for San Diego County. There were more than 730 new cases reported today. The county also says that 4 more San Diegans have died from this virus.
The former chief medical officer for the county of San Diego is suing the county, saying he was discriminated against. Dr. Nick Ifantides claims that the county blindsided him when they terminated his job. ABC 10 News reporter Adam Rakusin explains what he says happened and how the county is responding.
These 2 deaths reflect the sober reality that we are facing.
At the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, Dr. Nick Ifantides became a familiar face. San Diego County's former chief medical officer was a steady voice in a sea of fear and confusion. But by October 2020, Dr. Nick, as he goes by, says he hit a wall.
Eventually, the stress became overwhelming for me. I couldn't run from it.
A few months later, March of 2021, he says the county terminated his employment. On Wednesday, Ifantides filed this lawsuit against the county of San Diego. The lawsuit claims disability discrimination and failure to prevent discrimination and retaliation, among other things. According to the lawsuit, after months of handling the pandemic, the long hours, twinned with the misery and death encountered every day, caused him to suffer from insomnia, major depression, and crippling anxiety, forcing Dr. Nick to take a 4-week medical leave of absence. It says when he returned to work, members of the county's leadership team viewed him as damaged goods, who'd cracked under the pressure. Ifantides' attorneys say the county forced him to take another leave of absence. His lawsuit claims when he tried to come back, the county demanded he undergo an invasive fitness for duty exam. They say despite Ifantides agreeing, it didn't happen. Shortly after, he says he was fired.
The county callously discarded Dr. Nick. They threw him away because of his disability and because he took time off to treat it.
ABC 10 News reached out to the county for a comment on the claims in the lawsuit. A spokesperson says they don't comment on pending litigation. Ifantidi says he devoted himself to fighting the pandemic and was open with county leaders about the toll it took.
I believe this can happen to any of my heroic colleagues that are still in the trenches serving our region. And so for this reason, I have decided to take legal action and to hold the county accountable.
Adam Merkusen, ABC 10 News.
The lawsuit asks for money for loss of wages and benefits, along with emotional distress.
All right, keep conserving your energy. San Diego County is now in a statewide flex alert. For the next 3 hours, Californians are asked to keep energy usage low to keep the power grid stable tonight. The alert lasts until 9 o'clock tonight, and about an hour ago, the state extended the flex alert for tomorrow again from 4 to 9. Our meteorologist Angelica Campos has been tracking that heat all day long. Angelica.
Steve, we've seen the pattern, so most likely it'll be extended again on Friday because that's how long the heat is going to last. From Redding all the way down to San Diego, heat advisories extend up and down our state. Here in San Diego County, we have our heat advisory already in effect for the mountains, where we've seen temperatures in the 90s, and a heat advisory also will be included now for the valley starting tomorrow morning. Some of the hottest places today include Santee, 96 degrees, 95 in El Cajon, and Valley Center matching that 95 degrees today. Ramona at 93, and San Diego 82 degrees, but we are expecting the temperatures to remain above average through the end of the week. Also looking at the possibility of thunderstorms. We'll have more on that in your 7-day forecast.
Angelica, thank you. And you can stay on top of the heat, all the future flex alerts as well with the ABC 10 News app. It is free. You can find it in the App Store.
The Santa Barbara dad accused of murdering his children in Mexico has now been indicted in San Diego. A federal grand jury returned the indictment today. Matthew Coleman is accused of taking his 2 young children to Rosarito in early August, where he used a spearfishing gun to kill them. Coleman was arrested trying to re-enter the U.S. at the San Ysidro port of entry. According to documents, Coleman told investigators he killed his children because he believed his wife had serpent blood, which she passed on to their children. He said that he killed them to stop them from growing up into monsters.
We are now just 6 days from the special election against asking Californians whether or not they want to recall Governor Gavin Newsom. Now, in the last several weeks, ABC 10 News has reached out to all the high-profile candidates to ask how they would change California if elected governor. So today, we are hearing from Republican State Assembly member Kevin Kiley of Sacramento. He's polling between 2% and 5% support, but expressed optimism when asked if he can gain ground on his competitors.
I mean, we've seen really encouraging signs in the polling. I only entered the race 2 months ago, and we've continued to gain ground. We've seen recent polls where I'm now second among the Republican candidates. And so we're continuing to get our message. Our support is growing every single day in all parts of the state. We had in San Diego a huge rally that hundreds of people showed up at. And so the momentum is certainly on our side, and I'm very confident and hopeful that we're going to do really well on election days.
ABC 10 News is your source for the special election. We will have live coverage of the governor recall vote on air, streaming all night on September the 14th. You can stay up to date on your favorite streaming device with the ABC 10 News app or on 10news.com.
A San Diego man faces massive fines after being charged with illegally trafficking in items made from ivory. The city attorney accuses Stephen Wang of selling thousands of dollars worth of items to an undercover officer. And that includes ivory chess sets, carved elephant tusks, and ivory panels. It's been illegal to deal in elephant ivory in California for 5 years. Wang faces fines upward of $40,000 and a year in jail if convicted.
There is a new effort to improve health care for jail inmates in the county. That new program will add addiction and mental health treatment for those who are in custody in an effort to keep them from coming back. It will cost $25 million, hiring 160 people to staff that program, also offering assessments, treatment, and connecting those people in custody with services once they get out.
We're going to spend the money either way. We're either going to spend it on you continuing to come back and break the law and get incarcerated and get released and break the law and get incarcerated and released, or we're going to spend it on maybe helping you get well and not come back.
The county's behavioral health service says that 70% of inmates who enter a county jail are battling an addiction.